Should the New York Knicks go out and sign Cam Payne in NBA free agency? We're going to break that down on today's show as you are watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Cam Payne, point guard, formerly of the Phoenix Suns, was traded to the San Antonio Spurs this offseason, and they have released him, opening up a roster spot for somebody else. So the question is, should the Knicks sign Cam Payne? Well, my first thought when I saw this was, the Knicks had interest in Cam Payne dating back as recently as this offseason. This is what Hoops Hype had to say. New York, Phoenix, and Indiana had exploratory discussions on a 3-team trade where Cam Payne would have joined the Knicks, TJ McConnell would have joined the Suns, and Evan Fournier and draft pick compensation would have gone to the Pacers. There were also variations of the talks which involved Jordan Nwora. So the Knicks clearly had interest in Cam Payne. I also think part of that trade, though, was just getting off of Evan Fournier's salary, and they also would have got a trade exception of $18 million. Would they have plans of keeping Cam Payne and making him part of this rotation? I don't know exactly if that is true, but they at least showed some interest in trading for him. Whether they actually want him to be the point guard, a backup point guard for this team, maybe Emmanuel Quickly insurance if they trade him, or if they just wanted Fournier off the team and the trade exception to be here, that could have gone a lot of different ways. I'll ask you, should the Knicks sign Cam Payne? Type S for sign, type P for pass, and shout out to my man Nick DeVita for the $20 super chat. We'll pop that up on screen here in a little bit. My take on this, if the Knicks trade Emmanuel Quickly, I do think that Cam Payne would be a solid backup point guard. He's not a great player by any means. I thought he kind of reinvented himself with the Phoenix Suns. But I don't think he's anyone that's moving the needle for the New York Knicks. He's someone that wouldn't even play all that much, especially if Quickly was on the team. But let's talk about if Quickly was off this team. Cam Payne is someone that in the NBA Finals on the biggest stage has played well before. He's been in pressure-packed situations in the NBA playoffs. Go back to the 2021 NBA Finals when the Phoenix Suns were playing the Milwaukee Bucks. The guy averaged 10.3 points per game, 5 assists, and shot 42% from the field and 37% from downtown. And he played in 6 games. And one of our concerns with this team is if the New York Knicks have a third ball handler and a third offense initiator, because we saw in the playoffs when Brunson came out of the game and Quickly was hurt, they had nobody else that can get this offense going. And Cam Payne, he's kind of a floor general. He could do that. 5 assists in 6 games in the playoffs, and in the NBA Finals, excuse me. I don't hate it. I'll share more thoughts coming up in a second. But make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, because if the Knicks make a move, we will make a video. And I'll tell you this much. If the Knicks sign Cam Payne, we're going to have a video as soon as possible. So go down right now, hit that big red sub button. Sub for Knicks Dubs, as we are less than a month away from the Knicks playing the Celtics in the preseason. When it comes to Cam Payne, I would pass on signing him as a free agent. I think the Knicks are good when it comes to the guard position. I would like it. Maybe, look, if he wants to come and play for a veteran a minimum deal, I would be down. Really, that's all the Knicks could offer. But you got Brunson, you got Quickly, you got DiVincenzo, you got Quentin Grimes, you got Miles McBride. You're kind of good in that area. But I wouldn't mind him as the third point guard over Miles McBride, because he can actually initiate an offense. He could set people up for success, find them in their spots, and we've seen him kind of run the show, especially in pick-and-roll situations. But I come back to this. Not sure that Cam Payne is a Tom Thibodeau guy. Is Tibbs going to be a fan of Cam Payne? Is he going to like the defensive effort that he gets? I'm not going to say Cam Payne's a bad defender. I'm certainly not going to say he's a good defender. I would say sometimes he is willing. He could be a little bit pesky, but I just don't know if he fits what Tom Thibodeau wants to do. I go back to this picture from the playoffs this past year. When the Denver Nuggets were on their way, this was a sweep, correct? Or did they lose in 5? It was either a sweep or 6-game series. In the closeout game, the Phoenix Suns versus the Denver Nuggets, they were down 30 points in the second quarter. And Cam Payne and DeAndre Ayton were laughing on the sideline. What a joke. I don't want anyone on my team that think it's funny when you're losing by 30 points in the NBA playoffs. I don't think Tom Thibodeau would be a big fan of that. I think it says something that the Phoenix Suns moved on from him when they needed depth after they just traded everybody for Bradley Beal, and now even the San Antonio Spurs don't want him. Not a good look when you're laughing on the sideline when your team is losing in the playoffs. We'll close out the show with some more thoughts on Cam Payne and this Knicks roster, but I need you all to get your Knicks Real One shirts today. We've got the blue shirt. We've also got the black shirt. Go to chatsports.com/Real Knicks. That's chatsports.com/Real Knicks. That link will be clickable down in the comments and description of today's video. I'll circle back to this point. If the Knicks were to sign Cam Payne right now, it would have to be for the veteran minimum deal. Not going to get a lot of money is what that means. But also, and secondly, where are the minutes exactly going to come from? We know that the Knicks want to run a 9-man rotation. The starters, and he wants Quickly, he wants DiVincenzo, he wants Hart, and he wants Hartenstein coming off the bench. You already have your backup point guard in Emmanuel Quickly. Does Cam Payne want to be the third point guard on a basketball team? Not going to make a lot of money, not going to have a lot of playing time. I don't think he'd actually want to go here. And I also don't want him taking minutes away from Emmanuel Quickly, but I think Quickly is one of the best six men in this league, and I think he's only going to take another step in his development as a player this year. I think Quickly is going to have his best season in the NBA. I think for Cam Payne, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for him to come play for the Knicks, and I don't think that it makes a lot of sense for the Knicks to go out and sign a guy like Cam Payne. At the end of the day, I know he played good in the finals, and I know that he has some decent stats in the NBA in his career. Been in the league a little while. I respect the fact that didn't he have to go overseas for a little bit and fight his way back into the league, and I respect the hustle there. But overall, the guy shoots 36% from downtown in his career, which is solid, and he averages over where's the assist number here? Averages 3.4 assists. I wouldn't hate him as a third playmaker on this team. 4.5 assists last year, 4.9 assists the year before, 3.6 assists the year before, and his 2023 playoff stats were actually pretty decent. 8.1 points per game, 2.9 assists, 47.9% from the field, and also 40% from downtown. I think Cam Payne is a solid player. I just don't think the fit makes all that much sense to me. I think that he's going to be looking for a little bit bigger of a role, and I think he could be looking for a little bit bigger of a back. Make sure you guys are following me over on Twitter, though, at @MarshallGreen_. We know the Knicks were interested in trading for him at one point, whether that was for him or whether that was for the trade exception. I'm not sure, but at least some sort of interest. And I think the Knicks could use a third point guard. I just don't know if Cam Payne wants to be that guy. Give me a follow over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_.